Hi everybody, and welcome to our midweek video update. As you can see, we're here at our school. Many families are starting school either this week or in the coming 2 weeks, and so we just want to say God bless you. And as we continue on in our summer preaching series, we covered last week the familiar story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. And it's such a neat story because it talks about the power of God. And as the children of Israel, they came into the land of Canaan, the big obstacle that they faced was the city of Jericho. Specifically, it were the walls that were around Jericho, and biblical archaeologists now tell us that the walls could have been as high as 40 feet, and they had a double wall completely around the city. And the people were holed up inside, and it looked so formidable. So what would they do? Well, Joshua trusted in God, and the Lord had already told them that Jericho would be delivered into your hands, it says in verse 2, along with its king and its fighting men. And the deliverance of Jericho was part of the inheritance that God had promised. You know, the word inheritance in Joshua, the book of Joshua, is mentioned 60 times. And an inheritance is a gift. It's something that God has given to His people. And so the conquest of Jericho was part of the promise that God had given to them. The question was, would they believe Him? Well, Joshua believed, and God gave him a plan. And it was an amazing plan. You remember it, how they were told to march around the city with all the armed men, as many as 40,000 armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have the priests carry the trumpets of the ram's horns in front of the ark. And on the 7th day, march around the city 7 times with the priests blowing the trumpets. And when you hear them sound a long blast at that last day, have all the people give a loud shout, and the wall of the city will collapse, and the people will go up and straight in. It's a remarkable story. Joshua trusted God, but would the people? Would they obey Him? Would they listen to what God had to say? And amazingly, they did. And sure enough, they followed the Lord's command, and on that 7th day, they raised this loud shout, as many as 2 million people. Can you imagine what that sounded like? And the walls crumbled. One of the things that you notice right away about the procession around the city is in the middle of the procession was the Ark of the Covenant. And the Ark was the symbol of God's presence. And in the midst of these huge walls, God was right there in the middle of it. And it reminds us that as we face the huge walls of our formidable foes, no matter what it is, whether it's health crisis or finances or family relationships, that God is always right there in the center. And because God sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to be our Lord, who died and rose for us, we know that Jesus is there for us and that we can trust Him. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 relates to what happened at Jericho. The passage says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight." Friends, as you face the formidable walls of your life, whatever they might be, trust in the Lord. Put Him first. Put Him in the center, just like they put the Ark of the Covenant, and know that God is with you. And the inheritance that God has given to you through His Son, Jesus Christ, will assure you of victory, for we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. God bless your week.